Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. We've got a super awesome guest today. She is a newly qualified management accountant, a CIMA, with a master's in finance and accounting with distinction, and a strong track record in analyzing and delivering cross-functional financial systems and processes in commercially focused businesses. And her name is Hien Do. Please join me in welcoming Hien. Hey, Hien.
Hi, Thomas.
You ready for 20 questions?
Oh, yes, ready.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So, as you just introduced, I am a management accountant, based in London, and I just do basically anything related to the books. If you know, in a layman terms, is the books for your business. That's my day-to-day job. Apart from that, I consider myself as a full-time mother, and you know that is a hard job too. So yeah,
That's great.
that's a bit about
Um,
me.
Great. Yeah. Just a note for our audience. Hien and I go way back, probably from my time in China, but Hien is joining us from London today, which is pretty cool, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, I remember that time in China. That was a time that I traveled by myself alone, and I think that was the first foreign trip.
Mm,
It's funny enough.
many years ago now.
Very
Question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think getting to know people is you know is a I think is a valuable piece of knowledge. For example, I get to know Thomas, the father. That's Greg. I think that's one of the best men I ever met. And I think the people I met along the life, that makes me different.
Yeah, I think, so many of my friends, I guess my friends are family friends of my dad's, and that kind of has created a bond with a lot of people in that way. So it's super exciting to have you on in that kind of lens, I think. Number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, that's a bit tricky because I'm always good with numbers, but every accountant would say that. Otherwise, you wouldn't choose to become accountant. But before this job, I was a journalist, and a little bit mismatch about my application during university. So I tried to. I mean, the system was a bit funny, but long story short, so I ended up in the journalism school. And when I graduated, we were supposed to find an intern job ourselves. So I applied to the EU Commission, and I was accepted in the European Commission in Hanoi. And then I was covering the press department. My boss at Associated Press saw me, and he gave me my card and said, "You want to become a journalist one day?" So I said, "Well, why not?" Yeah, so that's how I ended up become a journalist. So my idea of journalism was a lot of writing, you know, telling stories. But I was in the video department, so I get to work with my camera and covering stories, taking pictures. So I learned later on that you can tell a story by many different ways, not only by writing but also by pictures, you know, by videos. So that was kind of cool. But then later on, I moved to London, which is where I'm now, because I'm married to a guy from here. So I followed him. As you know, people ask me why are you in London? You know, we said I came here because of love, and and I found that I soon discovered that my journalism and all my skills in Asia Pacific, APAC is not gonna work well in London, so I have to play my strength, which is number. So I retrained to become an accountant, did my master, and here I am, get my chartership in CIMA.
That's awesome. I was super interested in when I guess the social media post came through about how you had finished your master's in finance. I just finished a Master of Arts in Liberal Studies and have no idea what that world would be like. Yeah, but super interesting to hear your career trajectory as well. I mean, I didn't know a lot of this. This is super interesting for me.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me too, because people ask, you're good at this and you're good at that. Why you choose accountants? And I did not know that accountants have a notorious reputation of being boring. But I don't think so. It has a lot more to it if you look into it. But every profession has, the good and the bad. So I'm not judging. I'm gonna leave it like that.
I loved numbers growing up. Yeah, that's strange to me too that people would say that's boring.
I know, yeah, strange. Never in Asia, we don't have that concept of being accountant is boring. Maybe it's the way they are.
Interesting. Number 4 is, what does your future look like?
I hope it's bright and happy, full of joy now that I have my daughter. She's 2.5, and she constantly presents us with challenges, and every time at the end of the day when she went to bed, after we put her to bed, we always talk about what she did, and as always, fill my day, fill our days with laughter. So I think it's a happy future if it carries on that way.
Awesome. I always say this question is unique to this podcast. I'm not exactly sure if that's true or not, but I do feel that way. Question 5 is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
I think we now live in the digital world now, right? And I think the notion of place it's just where you are at the moment. So I'm in London. Where I am is great, and the location, like I live in Northwest, and it's quite close to the suburbs, so it's really green. So the place and the environment sometimes has a big influence, on you. So I think, because I moved here, I got into gardening a lot. So maybe a place it has something to influence me in a very positive way, because I like gardening, and I think plant therapy is fantastic. When you see things growing, it's always positive, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, when we set up the space for the podcast, there are the space kind of opens up onto these gigantic windows, and it's surrounded by a really kind of strong green space and trees, which kind of feel like they fill the apartment. So I come into the space in the morning, and I'm surrounded by this greenery, and it definitely changes things. It makes you feel a lot better, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Number 6, if you had to start from scratch, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I said I would do more trip like the one in China. So perhaps it was a really fantastic trips, and if you can afford or you have the time, the money, I would say that you would go. But sometimes travel is not about going to a foreign place. Like I travel when I was in my own city. I mean, I travel through the eyes of people who came to my city in Hanoi. Like Greg, for example, he took me to places that I would not look in from his angle. So I had a like completely fresh look through his lens, and about my place. So I would call that travel too. So meeting more people, I guess, and and try to play that experience into your views and see what you get out of it.
I definitely feel that way too about the greatness of China. It would have been really in my formative years, starting from maybe 17 years old, that I started making trips out to Asia. And when you travel at that young age, late teens, early 20s, those trips really kind of define you and impact you. I would say, yeah, those really shaped who I am right now. Number 8, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
Well, I wish I can say I read a lot, but I'm not. Given the times is quite limited now for me. I never experienced a day gone so quick anymore. But I still get up to date through people I meet, the conversations, and reading the news quickly. If like for example, if I'm interested in anything, I know where to look for. I guess my journalism background helped me to be good at researching. And you know what? I'm still constantly. I'm still registering into many courses. Government funded courses, or I just do CBD courses. So yeah, I agree. Even being a mom and like parenting skill, I read up on that topics a lot. On social media, on the Instagram reel or TikTok, some mom posted. I'll share their experience. These are good. Those are really good.
I was never a heavy book reader either, but when my first book, Emerging Scholar Gratitude of an Award Recipient, came out, people were saying good writers read. And they kept saying that good writers read, good writers read. And so I just started buying every book that I could that was recommended, especially the ones that came through the master's program. Even if it wasn't required reading, I would read them anyways. Early in life, somebody told me, a couple of people told me that you should buy more books than you have time to read, and you should just have them around. And so I started doing that, and it does feel good to have a substantial library and just be able to kind of browse through the spines of them. But I would say I'm not a heavy book reader, similar to what you were talking about. And yeah, there's so many ways to kind of get educated these days.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks.
Yeah. Number 9, what tools do you use? Are you more digital? Are you more analog?
Yeah, I would say I'm more digital. Nowadays, I love the apps and all the software, and we are a remote company. So, I work for a company called Velocity Global, based in Denver, and we are 100% remote. So everything is done online. We have tons of software and constantly updated. So I would say I'm a digital nomad, and it changes quite quickly, as the name is say itself.
Awesome. Halfway here, number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
Well, I just break it down to steps, what I need to get done, for both for work and outside work. I think that's the best. And then every day you try to celebrate the small wins, everything you've done, even a little thing, like clean the dishes, or wrote finish an email, or something to your colleagues. That would be a small wins for me, something get tick. So if you do that and try to organize your life. I think you would have more time and for yourself. And I try to do yoga and as my hobby. So I try to do it every 2 weeks now. With a friend of mine. She's based in Japan, and again we do like an hour of sessions and online through Zoom, and I think it works so well. And I try not to cancel any of it, which I did sometimes. Sorry about that, but I think it's important to give time to yourself and not cancel that both things you already scheduled. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know, I really like what you said about celebrating the small things. But you know, at one point I really wanted to do that. And so what I kind of told myself is that for every small win, I'll go and get another coffee or a latte. And, you know, after a few months, I realized that I was spending a ton of extra money on coffees and lattes. And I didn't even want to drink them really. You know, I kind of felt ill from having so much coffee. So I had to kind of stop that plan. You know, work-life balance is not an easy thing. If you listen to the other episodes, everyone really struggles with this, but it sounds like you have a pretty good grasp of it.
Yeah, I think everyone is facing these issues, and I mean, like I have a schedule and I keep up to date, and also I set my baby to schedule as well because now that you have to take her into account, and we're not trying to fob her away with someone's like a childminder,
Mm.
so or her nana to go away. I think it's best to include her in any activities, even a festival, a wedding, anything child friendly. Um, it's our life now. So I think we at the point that we like to enjoy those moments rather than spend too much on something, as we easily get into that nowadays.
Sounds like a good life. Um,
Thanks.
Number 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Well, this one is actually a tough one. We could go back to it if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, one more time.
I think could we go back to it?
Oh, can we go back to it? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure, yeah, yeah.
because I have many.
Um, yeah, number 12 is what would you not like to do career-wise?
um, I think some part of the work I've done is I did when I was when I was first started in London, it's like quite fresh, and I didn't know anyone, had very little connections. So I was doing sales. I had to talk to people
Mm,
a lot through the phone, through emails, and I think I mean even I'm good at it. I mean I got a really good track records, but I honestly say that was hard.
mm,
Yeah.
nice. 13, what's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I think my favorite words is be strong and don't let anyone tell you different about yourself.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's good.
don't let anyone tell you differently about yourself. I think if you know your value, and if you think anything that you trust your gut, you go for it, and then let everyone tell you anything differently.
Mhm. Your least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah, I think it's like, oh, do what you love what you do. I think that is very commercial. nowadays. I think yeah, everyone easy to say that, but sometimes people said you choose your career, but sometimes career chose you. I was like, that's what happened to me with my journalism. Yeah, I mean, people would say like, oh, why you like become an accountant and not a journalist anymore? It's it just happens that way, right?
I think so. Yeah. For my career, I would say people told me I should be a lecturer or I should teach design, and that's why I did it. Yeah, sometimes it does choose you. 15, if you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would you choose?
Oh, I think I would describe myself as I'm someone not afraid of asking, not afraid of showing my true poker face. You know, I think I'm not sure, is it naivety or um or of being brave, but I would say I don't mind so that people know my true color, my true skin.
What keeps you up at night?
Oh, I think is at the moment, is the greenhouse. I'm obsessed with it, and I recently just got it. I was looking for it for ages and trying to find the best one. And so, I mean, in short, my gardening hobbies and kind of give me interest about what plant, what seed you're supposed to sow, and how to make it work. I mean, nature's has the best intention for everything and anything at any time as well. So I find it really interesting.
What are you growing?
Pardon?
What are you growing in your garden?
Yes, I'm growing vegetable now. Before I just like interesting plant and flowers. But now I want to try just a simple thing at the right season and see if it goes well. It's more to do with how you understand that, and then, for example, tomato poses a lot of challenges. And I can go on and on about what type of tomatoes and stuff, but yeah.
Cool. 18, what inspires you?
I think people I met inspired me. I mean, listen to their story. Like I understand, this podcast is a really interesting way of getting to know people with in this digital world. And then I know there's a lot of things inspire you on your dreams, health, money, wealth, but you listen to their story, and some people's story truly inspiring. How they get over this hurdle, and how do they get from here to there, their achievements, and that inspire me. That makes me, do something.
We had a guest named Michael Peter on the show who had a popular episode, and he very confidently said that people inspire him. He said, Thomas, people inspire me. And I thought that was a great
It is true.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I will look at to people and listen to their life, see what's been through, and it's fascinating.
19, any advice you'd like to share?
I think for people who listen to this podcast, I think just keep doing what you do and be positive. Things happen, but out of your control. What you can control is your attitude towards it and how you take it. I think, that's my advice.
It's good advice. And the last one, 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you? And this is kind of an interesting question for you because I'm not sure what you would be looking for, but how can we see what you're doing with numbers?
Yeah, well, we are a still, you know, a not a public company, so it's information for about us cannot be seen. So yeah, that's might be a little bit more difficult than journalism, where you can see my piece and my video posted somewhere. Or when I was working for BBC, you can see a couple of my not podcasts, but my radio, my writing to picture piece. But I think if you follow Velocity Global on LinkedIn, they have some announcement and maybe something coming up to related to the EMEA regions is where I am based, and that's where I work. Then maybe, and also I'm on LinkedIn.
Great. Great. Okay, well, thanks so much, Hien. It was awesome talking to you to hear about, your direction with doing things with numbers, your gardening, being a mom, and for joining us from London. I think it's been super great. Thanks.
Thank you for your time. It's all honor to be on your podcast.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you.